how to start your brand new life. Now that it's done, I have to say I am quite amazed how easy it was to murder my wife. I know better than to brag about the details, but I can't resist, so I'll give the bullet points. After 20 years, everything finally works out. You've got more money than you know what to do with. You're staring down the barrel of early retirement, at 47 for God's sake, and you realize there's just one problem. The old ball and chain, the frumpy wife you settled for when you were 20 and wanted to hump anything that moved. Before you knew what a prenup was. She'll get half. Half is an awful lot. A lot more than she deserves. You're going to need that half. You have an epiphany, a revelation. The best years are ahead of you, not behind you. You surprise your wife with a trip to Miami. In the morning, you do a Pilates class with her. She's been telling you about wanting to get back in shape. Tire her out. Then comes the big surprise. This isn't actually a trip to Miami. It's even better. It's a trip to the Bahamas. You've already rented the boat and took the life jackets out. In the cooler, there's already margarita in a mixer, and you pour her a drink which she comments is very strong. Then, when you are exactly 30 miles out to sea, you grab her by the legs and flip her overboard. That's literally it. That's all it takes. The rest of your life is yours. You get to start over, start new, and I personally have done my best to shut out the memory of her screaming at me, thrashing in the water. How she managed to get out, I'm going to kill you. As if she's fish food and I'm a bachelor. This isn't the end of course. Now I have to start phase 2, sell everything. Can't start new in the same old car and house. Sell it all and move to Vermont or maybe Alaska. I get home and go right to the garage. First, I'm going to take my BMW to a dealership and take whatever cash offer they'll give me. I stick the keys in the ignition, but it won't start, which is insane. Shit's only a year old. I get it towed, and after a diagnostic, the mechanic starts asking me strange questions. Have you driven through a flood recently? What? No. Any hurricanes lately? What the hell kind of question is that? What's wrong with it? Well, the engine's flooded. Flooded. Full of water. Real nasty water. Like you drove it through a bog. Impossible. It's in the gas tank too. Hell, it's everywhere. We're going to have to replace practically everything. The thing's dead in the water, no pun intended. I'm so angry I start coughing. This must be a scam. My phone rings and I ignore it. I start yelling at the mechanic, who does not take kindly to my threats. My phone won't stop ringing, so I finally answer. What? It's my nosy neighbor Jen, and she says there's been an accident at my house. I need to get there now. A fire truck is there when I arrive, but no fire. My house is rubble. Collapsed. Like a fucking comet fell from the sky and blew it up. I cough, try to clear my throat, and ask what the hell is going on. Some guy with a badge asks me if I'm the owner and if I was aware of the water damage. What the hell are you talking about? I cough, trying to catch my breath. You must have smelled it. Yeah, look at that timber, those black spots. Hell, this house might as well have not had a roof in a rainstorm, how bad it is. What did you do to get so much water in the house? Burst pipes? I want to reach out and strangle him, but the world gets fuzzy and I gasp for breath. I am in an ambulance. There is an oxygen mask on my face. I blink. I'm in a hospital. It's so very hard to breathe. I hear a doctor talking to another, younger doctor. Worst case of pneumonia I've ever seen. I hear the word pulmonary. There is lots of commotion around me. Lots of beeping. I can barely see. We need to intubate now. There is a tube in my throat, and I swear I feel it pumping water right into my lungs. Submitted by /u or Forgotten Well link comments. I've died thousands of times. The year was 1412 when I first died. In the heat of battle, I was upon my black horse, moral. Our certain victory made me arrogant. By the time I saw it, it was too late. The release of the bowstring and the arrow cutting through the air had already sealed my fate. It struck me directly in the center of my chest. I wish that had been the blow to kill me. I lay there for a while, hearing the battle rage on around me, the occasional horse hoof, skimming my head by a hair. I managed to turn my head just in time to see my comrades retreating, leaving me to the mercy of our enemies. I understood, but that didn't stop the hatred forming toward men I considered brothers. Rain began to fall, hitting my face and blurring my vision. I cursed a god I had prayed to for protection. The sky roared as if in defiance of my words. It wasn't long before they found me. I was paraded around their city, a trophy of their victory. A sign was placed in front of my cage, a date and time for an event for everyone to participate in. The joy on the commoners' faces twisted my stomach. 3 days later, I was removed from my cage, still chained, and brought to the center of town. Cheers rang out from the crowd, all of them holding stones. My chest tightened as I fell to my knees. Such a savage way to dispose of someone, I muttered toward the crowd. I was ignored. The first stone struck me dead center of my forehead. Blood trickled down as my mind spun. Then the onslaught began. Stone after stone. The impacts came from everywhere. Small stones turned to rocks, rocks to bricks. I lost sight in my left eye, my right just able to make out the smug sense of justice across their faces. I soon lost the ability to breathe as my nose collapsed. Everything turned black. And still I was suddenly aware again. The pain was gone. Dirt surrounded me. I clawed upward toward the light, dragging myself out of a shallow grave. That was the first time I died. At first, I was confused, but it didn't take long before I turned it to my advantage. I've built kingdoms and destroyed them. I've been worshipped as a god and accused of being the devil himself. I've died in the worst ways, burnt at the stake, starved to death repeatedly while traveling. I had power, and I gave it away. I've seen the world repeat the same mistakes over and over again, watched loved ones be taken from me time after time. In 1872, my first love and child were ripped away from me. It started with a persistent cough, blood being exhaled with each one. It wasn't long before they both wasted away. I held both their hands the entire time, catching the disease countless times myself. I decided to live a quiet life after that, never directly involving myself. I lived as a shadow, only allowing a small group of people in. In 1970, I was found out. I was taken to a laboratory, experimented on, treated like a toy. Limbs were cut off. My heart was removed. My eyes were placed elsewhere to see if I could still see out of them. The whole time they assured me I would help the sick. The sincerity never reached their eyes. That all changed in 2091. The room of scientists was tense, eerily still. All of them watching a small screen showing moving particles. A war had broken out, the war of the world. Every country, every continent wiping each other out. The younger scientists couldn't understand, but I could. I had seen the same pattern of destruction for centuries. This was just that on a bigger scale. They stood huddled together, weeping. I took my chance. I mocked them. I preyed on their desperation to live. I told them how horrific this death would be for them, how I would know. I told them I would spit on their ashes when I was free. One of them stood up and walked toward me, then collapsed to the floor. A high-pitched whistle tore through the sky. My last words to them: finally, free. By the time I reformed, there was nothing left of the planet. I roamed what remained of the world, searching for anything, but everything was gone. I existed like that, dying every other day from dehydration, the pain pushing my mind to its limit. Time passed. The sun engulfed the earth. The planet was destroyed, but I still remained. I floated, my skin freezing and blistering, regenerating only to repeat the cycle. Eventually, even the pain dulled as my body slowed. My thoughts stretched. Decades passed just to form a single idea. Millennia went by. Time became meaningless. Planets and solar systems died around me. I remained. Then suddenly I was pulled downward. An orbit claimed me. My body screamed as it burned on entry. I landed. I formed again. I looked around. It looked similar, but different. I observed for a while before noticing the creatures hairy, bipedal, primitive. Could this be another Earth forming? I studied them. Fire, meat, intelligence. Yes, it looks like this will be another Earth. My memories flooded back, and with it all the pain, torture, the vile pest of humanity. I picked up a rock, and one by one I brought it down on their fragile skulls. Matter oozed out. I wiped them out. All of them. I do not want there to be any more humans ever again. Submitted by /U, or Brief Coyote, 7753, link comments. Stroganoff. I get home with the same groceries as always. Milk, ground beef, 2 boxes of stroganoff. It's the prepackaged kind of stuff that's a simple mix of dried pasta and powdered spices and dairy. I set the wet bag on the kitchen counter and set to work. Click, 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 boom goes the stove as I turn the knob and the burner comes to life. "How was work?" calls out a weak, raspy voice from the couch just outside the bar of the kitchen. It's more of a yell than a question. Grandmother has to yell to be heard. She thinks over the sound of the black and white movie playing on the classic movie channel. "Fine," I half mutter, half yell back. I squeeze the contents of packaged beef on sale into the pot, log sizzling the moment it hits hot aluminum coating. Fleshy plops of meat ease themselves from pinkish gray to brownish gray. "Oh well, that's good," yell calls grandmother. She turns back to her classic film, arms crossed, satisfied she's made an attempt at pleasantries for the evening. After a few minutes of sloshing meat around in its own oils, I pull out a colander from the lower right cabinet, making a racket as it scrapes the metal of several Dutch ovens. The questionably colored beef is drained, then returned to the pot. I stir in wet and dry ingredients and wait until everything starts to bubble. I contemplate how she is still alive on a diet of stroganoff and cola. It's all she will eat and drink. Occasionally, hot chocolate and cinnamon sugar toast for breakfast. Nutritional deficiencies aside, I wonder how she can eat the same thing over and over again. Brown and white meat and pasta for dinner. Brown and white liquid and bread for breakfast. Brown and white cabinets and countertops. Brown and white hair and skin. As all parts come together, the smell of stroganoff begins to form and permeate the room, landing somewhere between human food and cat food. As I'm stirring cooked pasta squelching against dairy, I see a flash of something that looks almost like a nail bed. If I'm being honest, it looks like an entire finger. I stir around, squelching this way and that, without further discovery. I smile to myself. What a grotesque imagination. Perhaps when grandmother goes, it would honor her to take a piece of her, just a piece, grind her to bits in the old-fashioned stainless steel meat grinder in the cabinet next to the Dutch ovens, add it to her favorite meal, and consume it her. I do not say this aloud. It would probably freak her out. I place the lid over the pot to let the concoction simmer and thicken, stirring occasionally. The boxes instruct. I sit on a bar stool at the outskirts of the kitchen counter, scrolling my phone while we sit in silence, the old black and white film playing unassumingly in the background. "Oh, bogey," grandmother sighs eventually. I look up from my phone. I see Humphrey Bogart in a snazzy white suit as Audrey Hepburn comes out, also in an immaculately white dress. She's all clean and proper and bright. He is too, despite his wrinkles. My eyes return to my phone, scrolling across a cute kitty video one moment, a violent paragliding accident the next. Is it almost done? Grandmother calls from the couch without turning around. She always asks exactly 2 minutes before I take it off the burner. Muscle memory, maybe. Either way, she already knows it's done. She simply likes to ask. I scoop a small helping onto the plate and bring it over to her. This will be her dinner for days. She mumbles a thank you and begins to eat, gums smacking with false teeth. It's not exactly the same sound as when I move the wet mixture around in the pot, but it's similar. Moist. I return to the pot in the kitchen, replacing the lid to keep warm in case she wants seconds. She usually wants seconds. I open the fridge to bring out my own dinner I made this morning before work. As I clink a small bowl of plain white china into the microwave, The lid of stroganoff bumps once beneath me, though. I didn't touch it. I frown, casting eyes downward as my fingers still hover over the microwave numbers. I see the pot lid move again and I jump a whole foot backwards. Then the pot lid continues to lift and bump and rattle and racket. What is that? Grandmother calls out, annoyed through a mouthful of stroganoff. To the pot lid, I say, what else do I say? Well, make it stop, she says. I look around, unsure what to do. I grab a kitchen knife from the knife block on the counter next to the stove. Knife raised in a murderous position in one hand, the other reaches out, shaking, to the violently active lid before me. I start counting backwards from 10. Make it stop, shouts grandmother. Finally, I lunge for the lid, snatching it away, leaving the open-mouthed pot exposed. Brown and white dinner sits still and well-behaved. I lean over it, still holding the lid in one hand, knife in the other. Suddenly, from the center of piping hot and wet tooth-colored sheets and brown crumbles, an entire hand reaches out from the bottom of the pot and grabs my face forcefully, pulling me down into the muck. Lid and knife clatter and bang to the floor as I flail my arms, skin burning and boiling, unable to pull myself from the grip of the stroganoff hand. As my screams muffle and my lungs fill with milk and fat, my last thoughts are of whether Grandma will eat me. If pieces of flesh cut into noodles and boiled in water and mixed with processed spices would make her mouth water. If ground up fat and gristle from my cheeks would make her stomach growl. Submitted by /U or Maiden Mother Crone Link comments.